Alright, I'm back for the last round of the October Vintage Playoff, playing Dark Petition Storm. I'm currently 2-3, so obviously not going to top 8 or top 16 this tournament, but I'm playing for practice and maybe a very outside chance at top 32 because it is a smaller event. I would like to play first. Yep, another really strong hand. I'm going to lead on Library of Alexandria here. There are some arguments for Mystical Tutor, but I can just do that all next turn, and I don't know. You can kind of see this league why people don't like Library of Alexandria because it leads you into doing not broken things. But I think that more often than not, it's fine to play it. And even if my opponent was going to wasteland me or something, at least they're wastelanding the library, not my one source. So I think that just using this to cycle is worth taking a turn off. But and then it has the upside of you just win the game. So bad against Dredge, fine against Workshops. So we'll see. Because I could also just Mystical Tutor for Dark Ritual here and then try to cast an Necropotence, but that's just so bad against a counterspell is my problem with that. Okay, well our opponent played Black Lotus, so we're probably in a little bit of trouble now. Oh, there's a Narset. Okay, so turn 1 Narset is going to be strong against us because our hand has Time Twister. Oh, they bricked on their Narset. You don't see that happen very often. Well, it's good for us at least. Alright, so I think that we're off the library plan at this point because I want to play my lands and stuff, but maybe that was wrong. So I have a few interesting options. I think here I'm supposed to just get an Underground Sea and then Collective Brutality my opponent to make them discard a card. Power Blast, X2. Okay. So our opponent did not cast Dread Arcanist, which makes sense because they don't have a card to play yet. And they wanted to represent Power Blast, so. Still don't have a great card to get with my Mystical Tutor. Dark Ritual is still the one that makes the most sense, but we'll see. So they're just going to go ahead and play their Dread Arcanist, looks like, which I agree with. I would just tap out for it. Which tells me that there's a small chance they found Force of Will, but we'll see. Cool. I'm obviously just going to Mystical Tutor now because they're tapped out. And it's interesting what we get here. I do think it's probably correct to get Dark Ritual. Tinker's bad against Power Blast. Yawgmoth's Will would be fine. Would getting Yawgmoth's Will really make us able to win, though? It wouldn't let us win. So I think that we're supposed to just get Dark Ritual and have our plan this game to be to cast Necropotence. And yeah, that plan is bad against our opponent finding a counterspell in a bunch of looks of Preordain, but I still think that this was the correct play. No, not Lavinia, I hope. Okay. Because they're going to get to Preordain, then Dreadhorde Preordain to try and find a counterspell, so. They went top bottom. So. Kind of one reason I don't love Mystical Tutor against these counterspell decks is that it's just so bad if it does get counterspelled. You're just in a pretty rough spot. It does suck that this Time Twister is completely blank because our opponent had a turn 1 Narset, but what are you going to do? Alright, so we're going to try and just cast Necropotence here. Not super confident it's going to work. Yep, they found the Force Will. So Force Will Pistol Lavinia. So I actually think they probably would have just won this game if they cast Lavinia, but they didn't. So now we're another Dark Ritual away from casting Dark Petition. Alright, so now they get to do the ponder thing again. This card is really good. I think that this is definitely the best deck in the format, this Jeskai deck. They just have gotten so many new cards recently, and I think that it's the best deck by a pretty wide margin. I really think this card probably should not be unrestricted in this format, but it is. I think that we have definitely the tools to play around it, but the main problem with it is that it's just like, they just have so much card advantage. So it's kind of hard to just work through all of their card advantage spells. I'm going to shuffle their libraries, that's a good thing. So, best draw here would be a Black Lotus would be good, or Dark Ritual. Tolarian Academy. That doesn't quite do it, but we'll play it. Now anything that makes black mana will do it for us. So that would be good. Best draw probably Mox Jet, I guess. Oh, well, they found their Ancestral Recall, so that was pretty good. Because now they just drew 6 cards this turn. So, probably not going to win this game now. But unfortunately, yeah, our opponent had turn 1 Narset, and then was able to chain together a bunch of spells of Dreadhorde. Like, we're better positioned if this Time Twister has text on it, but it doesn't, so... Brainstorm 2, yeah. And then the Narset turned off our library since we were on the play, or else we just have to skip land drops. Maybe we were supposed to just stay on library, actually. I think that was maybe the mistake I made this game. Library Alexander is a really hard card to evaluate, but now our opponent has 9 cards in hand, so... Because they drew 6 this turn. So I'm feeling not the most confident. Cool. Well, there's a duress, so we can duress them. See what they're working with. Yeah, now with the way the game's played out, I wish that we would have stayed on library, but our opponent is going to Force of Negation our duress, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because I think that you could just let me take the Force of Negation, and then you would still have that card in your hand, so I'm not really understanding that play, but I don't know their hand, so... I'm not saying it was a bad play, I'm just kind of thinking out loud about why they would make a play like that. Like, why 2 for 1 yourself, rather than 1 for 1, but... Their hand also might just be so good that it does not matter, which... Or maybe they're protecting Treasure Cruise, but it seems unlikely that I would take Treasure Cruise in this situation. So now they're going to get to Brainstorm again. These Zerok decks are so boring to play against because they just, like, cast so many cantrips. So they're spending every turn just casting a million cantrips, and you're like, oh my goodness, can we just... I could just concede, but... What is it, dig? No. I'm not sure what they're trying to do here in their declare attacker step. That's one thing I like about Dark Petition Storm is when it wins pretty clearly. Like, it just kind of does a loop and wins. Right. Interesting. Just running Lightning Bolt to hand size rather than cast it. Cool. Well, we'll put it in here. Probably just gonna get Pyre Blasted or just let it resolve. Okay. We'll do bottom, top. So I could Dark Demonic Tutor for Defense Grid is one option. But then we still can't cast this Dark Petition. I mean, they're probably just going to counter the Demonic Tutor, I guess, actually. We'll see what they do. I'm going to cast the Demonic Tutor next turn, obviously. The question is what I get. I think if it were to resolve, I'm supposed to get... I don't know what I'm supposed to get. That changes the equation, definitely. Oh, they're going to make me discard 2 cards. Okay. Well, I guess we ditch the LED for now. Don't actually know how we could win this game. They're just going to Force of Will or Demonic Tutor. Okay. Well, now we don't get to have any cards in hand because they're going to attack us every turn, so we just have what we draw. So actually, I'm supposed to keep the Lion's Eye Diamond for that reason because it's a card I can play, and it doesn't actually change the equation since I'm getting dacked. So that was a mistake. I'm supposed to keep Demonic Tutor LED. They can just dack my LED, but it's like at least then they're using a dack activation on that. Gosh, ship. Do your thing. Fetch from Mystic Sanctuary when it doesn't have an ability. Seems like I would not have made that same play. Because the problem with that is that you just return lands to their hand with Gush, so they also had a land drop left, so I would have maybe played my land first. But they're so far ahead, I think it just doesn't matter, and that's probably why they're playing a little fast, probably. I have definitely made many, many, many mistakes before. Curious on why they force will Demonic Tutor rather than just force willing whatever I got. I guess I could get a land and then they might as well force will it. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Cool. We do address. I can cast this. Dress you. Oh, their hand actually isn't very good. Well, it's not bad, but I think that's their hand right now. Yeah. They're going to start jacking themselves now that I don't have any cards in my hand. So now they get to make their hand better, though, is the problem, so. Oh, they found Dig Through Time, I think. That makes their hand a lot better. Maybe they'll deck. Ha 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 ha. Unlikely. Definitely unlikely now. Maybe they didn't find Force Will and I'll draw Yawgmoth's Will and win. That'd be cool. Although that seems unlikely. I do think Yawgmoth's Will wins the game here, though, if they also don't have anything. So we'll see. Yawgmoth. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'll just play this. There's no reason not to. I mean, there probably is a reason not to, but I think I just lose here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Good game, opponent. Well played. So I'll bring in the same cards I've been bringing in against this deck. So traditionally, this is a pretty good matchup for a Storm, but I think it's gotten a lot harder because they just got so many new good cards. So I've been struggling a little bit more against it. Maybe I think I did not play that game the best either, probably. I think that game I probably win if I just stay on Library. But I wanted to make my land drops. I thought it was close enough to just winning the game. You know, like, I got to cast a discard spell and then win on the next turn. But it was really winning 2 turns later, and my opponent had just bricked on a Narset, so I was feeling like fairly confident, but I think that I'm supposed to just be patient and stay on Library, and then probably win that game if I do that, so. Cool, this hand's definitely keep. I'm going to play a Soul Ring on turn 1 here, so that I can turn 2 Duress plus Ancestral. Alright, they're going to misstep my Soul Ring. That's fine. They had their own Ancestral. Okay. Well, that deck's really good when they draw Ancestral, but interestingly, they cast it during the main phase, so they only draw 2 here. Alright, so now I get to Duress, plus hopefully cast my own Ancestral Recall. Surgicals, jeez. I guess Pyroblast is probably the best card in their hand. Maybe Preordain. I'm just gonna take the counterspell and then Ancestral myself. They're going to surgical my Duress now. Okay. That's fair. I only play Duress as my only discard spell, so seems reasonable to me. Except for I also have my one of non-Duress card, which is Collective Brutality, so still doing okay. Surgical's interesting. Not a card you traditionally see in Vintage, just because it's not, in my opinion, not that effective against the Dredge strategy, which is the premier graveyard deck. There's not really another graveyard deck except for Dredge, so you usually see like Ravenous Trap or Grafdigger's Cage is pretty common. Alright, drew a Mox. How do we want to sequence this? Kind of want to just make goblins. Only be 2 goblins though. Let's preordain here. Mox Sapphire. We'll put that on the bottom. Put that on the top. Make some Goberinos. And then what's nice here is that we do have the Tendrils as a follow-up drain. We have 2 drain spells in our hand, so even if our opponent is able to play a creature, we can remove the creature or we can drain them. So we can also have Yawgmoth's Will, and that Surgical Extraction is not free in their hand because of the 2 life. So that is a more real cost this game. Yeah, they're gonna Gush, which is fine. Not the best spot to Gush in, but that's what they have to do. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just in terms of time to cast the Gush, it's not the ideal time. Okay, we won. Cool. I like resubmitting. I think that the way we sideboarded it is fine. Last game of the tournament. Let's see how it goes. I actually think this one's a mulligan. I think it just doesn't interact or favorably with our opponent. This on the other hand I think we can keep. I'm going to bottom Chain of Vapor. Obviously we can't cast any spells yet, but any land or artifact on the draw with a redraw probe lets us cast our spells. So hopefully our opponent does not have turn 1 Ancestral Recall again, because that card is good. Cool, so we did draw that. Let's leave with Gitaxian Probe here. Time Walk, Treasure Cruise, Pyroblast, Narset. Did not Pyroblast that, which is interesting. What do we want? Do we want to duress something here? It's a pretty interesting question. I mean, I think we're supposed to duress something here. I don't really put our opponent on having Wasteland. I'm going to go ahead and just take their Pyroblast, actually. It's bad if they Time Walk into Narset, but I kind of want to be able to cast this Ponder next turn. And if that's how they want to use their Time Walk, I think that's mostly okay with us. They're going to preordain. Okay, so no Narset this turn unless they find Lotus. Or Mox Time Walk. So actually a few things they could have found. They went bottom, so random card, which is good for us normally. They're going to Surgical or Duress. Okay. So we know all but one card in their hand. So I think we do have a win here now if we wanted to go for it. Generally, I think it's not great to Surgical Storm on their turn just because storm count reasons, but that's not maybe not reasonable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that we could Ponder first here. We're not in a huge rush to try to win the game. I will shuffle this though. Alright. Now I'm going to try and just put Necropotence into play. We'll go and find Necropotence. Cast it. So here, I'm going to drop to... I'll do 9 cards this time. Discard 2 of them. That feels a little bit safer to me. We don't need to win right away, but I have a card I don't really want in my hand, so that's kind of the rule I follow, is up to 7+2 for every card you want to discard. Definitely cannot discard the Tendrils. Library is not great here. What else is not great? Brainstorm's going to be bad if our opponent plays their Narset. So I think it's between Brainstorm and Mox Emerald. I'm going to ditch the Mox Emerald here. Because I can Chain of Vapor the Narset is one thing I'm thinking. They're just going to Time Walk. Okay. Don't quite have enough cards to Treasure Cruise yet. Gonna be a close one, probably. Especially if they get to Treasure Cruise. They're going to Surgical Dark Ritual. I'm not really understanding the Surgicals. Maybe this one is so that they can cast Treasure Cruise. Maybe they just wanted info on which spell they're supposed to play here. That actually would make sense. Dack. They're going to Dack themselves. Okay. Discarding Narset. Now they get to Cruise. Okay. Definitely not a bad spot to be in. Ooh, and they get to put a card on top of their deck. That's pretty sweet. Which one do you think they're going to pick? Surgical. And then they can Surgical my Cabal Ritual. It was reasonable to me. This is a cool addition to these decks, too. Cool little figure on the island. Alright, so we have 3 new cards, one of which is Surgical. Yeah, and they're just going to take my Cabal Ritual. The problem is that they're going down to a pretty low life total and I have Tendrils of Agony in my hand. So I'm a little worried for them about that. Maybe they're just thinking I won't be able to cast it, which is reasonable. They're going to play their Mox. Okay. Now I know their hand, so that seems... I think I should win now. Because I can play this. Tap these. And then Chain of Vapor this. Let's just slow down a little bit. So that's Storm 1, 2. That's Storm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Storm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm actually like a Storm short here, right? Because I'm a little bottlenecked on blue mana. So I need to find another way to make mana. Oh, well, Black Lotus will do it. Cool. That just makes it really easy. Again, I know my opponent's hand, so there's nothing they can do here. And that I know that their hand doesn't have cards in it, is what I mean. All right, cool. So finished 3-3, which is a record I'm okay with. Definitely not great, but it's a fine record. I'm not sure if I'll get top 32, but regardless, it does pay out to top 64, and there's 63 players, so we at least got the top 64 prizes, which is 50 play points and 10 treasure chest boosters, so it was a free entry, free tournament, so... Alright, this is 7 rounds. Yeah, 7 rounds for 65 to 128, so it should be like 6 rounds today. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Thanks.